Good morning. It's Jeffrey Christian of CPM Group. It's about 11:35 here in the morning on Tuesday, the 4th of November in New York. Recording this on Monday because Tuesday we will not be available to do a recording. I want to talk about central bank gold purchases. This is a chart from our October Precious Metals Advisory. The November Precious Metals Advisory will come out later this week. This has the monthly data on central bank purchases and sales on gross basis and net purchases or sales monthly since January 22nd through August. We have September data, but that'll appear in the November Precious Metals Advisory. During September, it looks that net purchases were about 1.4 million ounces by central banks. There seems to be a lot of data that's not supported by what the central banks themselves have been reporting or the International Monetary Fund. The way it works is that central banks report their gold balances to the IMF, and the IMF reports it to the public through an International Financial Statistics program that they do on a monthly basis. If you look at what was going on in September, it looks as though Poland, which had purchased some gold earlier, has made another purchase, as has the Czech Republic. Turkey also reported purchases. There were rumors that Hungary had also bought some gold, but Hungary didn't report that, and Hungary didn't report it to the IMF to appear in the International Financial Statistics. In fact, Hungary has not reported any gold purchases since October of 2018, but then it also has been somewhat hesitant to divulge other data in terms of its government finances since 2022. The government there is a nativist, authoritarian government that has expressed a lot of hostility toward the EU, has expressed hostility to everyone except Donald Trump in the United States, and to other governments and international organizations. So they have been a little bit hesitant in giving data on the state of their country and their economy. Some people have stated that Hungary bought gold. Hungary has reported to the IMF that its gold reserves were unchanged in September, so that it doesn't necessarily look like it. There are also rumors that India had bought about 193,000 ounces of gold, but the Reserve Bank of India has not said that it bought any gold in September. And then Uzbekistan reported buying about 20,000 ounces of gold, but there were rumors out there that it had bought like 514,000 ounces of gold. It's interesting. I mean, Uzbekistan bought 20,000 ounces of gold probably from domestic refineries, which is the central bank's practice. But if you look at who bought it, it's Poland and the Czech Republic and Turkey. And if you look on a map, they sort of circle or semicircle. There's an arc around Russia that those three countries include. And if Hungary, in fact, did buy some gold, it would be in that arc too. So it's kind of interesting there, and I'll talk about that in a second. Sellers were Kazakhstan, which has had foreign exchange shortages and has needed to sell gold from its reserves to generate dollars and euros to pay for imports. And Jordan also sold some gold. There were rumors that Singapore had sold some gold, but the Monetary Authority of Singapore has not reported any such gold sales to the IMF. I wanted to talk a little bit about that arc of central banks buying gold around Russia. Poland had bought some gold a while back last year, and it has reported buying some more gold in September. Czech Republic also reported buying. This is a chart which I've used before. We're actually going back to the 80s, showing gold held at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York traditionally has held gold for non-U.S. governments. It does now sometimes hold gold for the U.S. Treasury as well, but it holds this gold. And it's interesting because in early October, we had arranged initially for a delegation of government officials from a country that we work with to tour the gold vaults at the New York Fed. But then the New York Fed said that they couldn't have the tour, we'd just have a meeting. And we did that because the passageways in the vaults at the New York Fed are very narrow. And when they're moving large amounts of gold into or out of or from one central bank's cage to another central bank's cage, they sometimes have that gold stacked up in the passageways, and they don't allow outsiders to come through while that gold's stacked there. So we assumed that the central bank, that the Fed was taking in more gold, and we had that confirmed. And it's interesting because, again, you see this blip up in New York Fed held gold last year, and that happens to coincide with the purchases of gold by the Polish central bank. And again, it looks like there was more gold being delivered into the New York Fed's vaults earlier this year, September, October. They report on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, so we don't have that data yet from there. But it looks as if central banks for governments, for countries that are close to Russia, are buying gold, and they're storing it as far away from Russia as possible, which is what a lot of central banks say. It ties in with this whole reality, which flies in the face of what some gold bugs are saying, that central banks are not dumping dollars. They're not running away from Fed treasury notes, treasury issuances. They're not dumping U.S. treasuries. They're not dumping the dollar. They're not showing fears and concerns about having exposure with the U.S. financial system and financial governance, at least most of them. Obviously there are some countries that have problems with the United States government, and they're not doing it, but other governments still feel very comfortable dealing with the U.S. The other factor was that China, once again, reported no purchases in September. They haven't bought any gold since April of this year, reflecting the fact that the gold price shot up in March and April, and the People's Bank of China basically said, well, wait, we're not going to chase the gold price higher. That's all I have for now. It's a relatively short one. It's a busy week for us. We will not have a video on Friday because I will be traveling and not in a position to make a video. And we will try to make a video not next Tuesday, but next Wednesday, the 13th, after I'm back from a couple trips that I'm making between now and then.